Hey everybody, welcome back to the Chaotic Little Book Corner. My name's Acacia. Today you can probably hear the rain outside. I have skylights, which makes it so that the rain just comes right down on top of me. But we're going to continue anyway. Today I'm going to be doing my June wrap-up. So this is just going to go in the order that they are piled. Morvern Callar by Alan Warner. Read it with Amanda Center, and between the two of us we were uncomfortable, really confused and conflicted, and overall just meh on the whole thing. And I think that kind of just sums up my whole thoughts on this. It was very meh. There was really nothing that made me excited or stood out to me. I enjoyed it whilst reading it, but as soon as I closed it, meh. Everything just kind of didn't matter. So there's that. Hunger by Roxane Gay. Alright. I sobbed when I read this book. I ugly cried when I read this book. I was destroyed when I read this book. If you're looking for a book about a weight loss journey or anything having to do with overcoming obesity, this is not the book for you. This is a weight journey. It is hard, it is rough, it is dark, it is just bold and raw and feminist and exquisite, and I loved it, and I absolutely recommend it, but you need to have a strong stomach to read this. It is the story, memoir of Roxane and her experience with being an overweight woman in this society. And it's heartbreaking. I really enjoyed it. Rhine by Angela Palm. This one takes place in rural Indiana. And I felt a great connection to this book. For me, growing up in a rural community where you don't really see a lot of people get out of it, you really don't see a lot of people thrive or go on to do great things. It's not because they don't want to, it's just because this town kind of it doesn't encourage and it doesn't support the idea of getting out of this town and moving on and becoming successful. It really supports you just staying close to home and being close to your family and being close to your homestead and finding happiness within mediocrity and working at a gas station or working at a grocery store, which there's no shame in that. There is none at all. But there is such a culture of just getting stuck in that being an acceptable and just long-term committed goal, and not even to run the grocery store or run the pizza place or run the gas station, but just to work there and to just get by. And this community that she talks about has that same cultural hold that my town does, which is it is more common for you to succeed at being one of the townies than it is for you to succeed outside of the town. And in this case, she follows her next door neighbor who is accused and found guilty of murder, and how this town kind of influenced and got him to that point. And that's an extreme on this level of rural community and experience, but it is plausible. and very, very potential for someone to get into that deep of a divide between themselves and their town and feel so stuck within their existence. So I really enjoyed this, and I think it's a really good book. I think it really experiences a lot of interesting perspectives of those who can't get out of a small town and community. I really liked it. Short story collection, The Love of a Bad Man, and this is by Laura Elizabeth Willett. This was interesting. This is the premise of the women who love evil men, and how they love evil men, and why they love evil men, and why they stand by these evil men when they do bad things. And there is this narrative throughout in each story where you realize that these women love these men in spite of their bad behavior and feel remorse and sadness for the bad behavior, but still love and respect this man regardless. There's one in here about Ava Brahms, and she is the girlfriend of Hitler, and you get to see her perspective of how she fell in love with him and how she ended up becoming his girlfriend and long-term partner. It's just a really interesting story collection, and it really weaves an interesting narrative and story. I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's like the top read of the year at all, but I would say it's a fun read and it's an easy read, and it's got some really dark themes, but it's really interesting to kind of discuss and delve into. This would be a good buddy read. I kind of wish I'd had that opportunity, but it is a good book. Then my 600 to 1,000 page book for this month was Dombey and Son by Charles Dickens. This one was my second Dickens, and I feel a lot of love for Dickens. I feel a lot of interest in his work. His characters are well formed and are really followable and enjoyable, and I super enjoyed this book. I enjoyed the conversation of gender and social economics and social stereotypes and what they look like when enacted in this era. And I really found this story to be one that was easy to follow. I listened to it on Audible. So the premise is a man has a wife who dies during childbirth of his son, and the book then follows him with his son and his daughter is not really taken into consideration in a lot of ways, and he's trying to just raise his son to follow through and be Dombey and Son. And there's this overwhelming sense of this little girl just kind of getting pushed to the side and ignored and forgotten about, while this man is being raised to be a financial and business-like type tycoon. And he's being raised, though, in an environment where his sister is his friend, and so he's a more emotional boy, which is very strange to his father. I really enjoyed it, and I think that it's really well executed and really well done, and yeah. Dysfunctional families, strange gender roles, and stereotypes. I think it's a good book. And then the last one that I read is this. This is The Power by Naomi Alderman. I liked it. I liked it okay. I don't think I loved it as much as I wanted to. I was kind of looking for something to fill the void of Handmaid's Tale, but it felt a little bit like a Handmaid's Tale wannabe, but not, because the women were in power. And I felt like I was reading a book that was meant to be really empowering to women, but just put them in this situation where they were as cruel as men. And that made me sad. I didn't feel like the shift in power left anything positive. I just felt like it left this situation of, oh, it would be the same no matter who was in power. And maybe I'm naive, but I like to think that we would know better than to treat a person less powerful than ourselves with cruelty, just because of what we've gone through as women. And I don't know. I just really struggled with it, and I liked it, and I'll keep it on my shelf, and I may revisit it at another time when I'm not hoping for something when I read it, and I'm just aware of what it will be when I read it. But as far as a first-time read, I didn't really find it all that incredible. So those were my thoughts. And yes, those were all the books that I read in, I think that was the second half of June. I think so. So yeah, not a lot, but a fair amount. So yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.